Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from LastStandGamers, and welcome. So for today's spotlight, we're actually looking at a ship designed by Captain Jack Ivals and the team for Colony Wars. I thought this would be an interesting opportunity since it was recently uploaded to the workshop to actually have a look at this thing and see exactly what we're going up against, but at the same time do a little bit of a spotlight on it, give it some attention, and just have a look at the fine detail that's gone into the design. Now the first thing that catches your eye is the overall shape of this helicarrier. From the look of it, we've got these 4 weapon stations on either tip. That's got a 300mm surrounded by 4 Gatling or Vulcan cannons that can deal out a lot of firepower, a lot of great suppression to keep enemy fighters away, as well as the 300s dealing out some damage to larger ships. You'll also notice that there's 2 landing pads. We've got a main sort of strip at the front that's divided into 8 connectors, and then we've got the rear one divided into 1 large connector, so there's plenty of slots to put the smaller fighters. And when this thing launches the ships, as you see in the Colony Wars series, it is very, very intimidating. So as we go a little bit further down, you'll notice how the thrusters have been integrated into this design, and this is something that kept this thing afloat a lot longer than it bloody should have. You can see we've got the thrusters that have been tucked behind the wingtips here, adding a little bit of protection, having that block overhanging the top of them. And then the thrusters on the side are relatively exposed, but what actually helps hold it up is the variety of thrusters that have been tucked down into this. And just look, if we come through here, I won't spoil it too much, these are large thrusters in the center of the hull, firing straight down through 1 individual block slot, but that just adds so much protection to these guys, and it's going to keep afloat in a lot of situations. And as I've learned, I don't tend to give the ships the best sort of downward thrust, and it tends to take them out of the sky very quickly. So moving on to the top deck, what I quite like about this top deck section is we've got these little overhanging areas. Instead of going with a standard hangar that would require a lot of time to dock and launch the ships out of one door at the front, we've got this little overhang just to protect the ships from stray missile fire or a bit of Gatling damage. And then we've got the 2-door access. When I originally saw them build this in the Survival series, I thought this was a hangar for the ships to remain protected on the move and whatnot, but it doesn't seem to be so. So as we continue into this section, we have the bridge. Now, Ivals told me there is a command and control center inside the ship, so if this guy does happen to get taken out, you can see there's this cool little blast door block here as well, adding a little bit more protection to the pilot if he wishes to pilot it from that section there as well. And then it leads nicely down. You can see they've got this little red rib, of course in the RWI colour scheme, leading down to the back onto the helipad. That's once again got 3 doors, Gatling turrets and interior turrets, just to kind of fend anyone who tries to get aboard off. Now as we wrap ourselves down to the rear, you can see we've got that large thrust pack, 2 large thrusters, as well as the ones that are tucked within the wings themselves. And it has a very sort of boat shape underneath here. It was very fun if we decided to shoot this thing down over the ice lake. It'd probably look like a boat. So let's have a look a little bit further underneath. You can see the landing gears in either corner, as well as an interesting little access port here. This is something I've not really got too much information on, but you can see this is some sort of secret maintenance hatch, some sort of backup port. It's got the turrets there as well, so no one's getting in that way. But let's actually pop inside and we'll have a walk around the structure. So we'll enter through the bridge, because that tends to be the smartest way of doing things. We'll have a look at there. So we're entering through the diagonal airlock, very nice compact design. It keeps everything airtight if it needs to be. And you just walk yourself up there to the control room, entering through this door. Access is this sort of protected control room with the shutter door access. Very nice, very smart idea, give it a bit more protection. Of course, more turrets throughout, because the RWI team are definitely paranoid about us getting inside one of the ships and trying to take it out, because of the amount of turrets I'm finding here. That's rear access to the helipad. And if we continue access through this section, we come across a little bit of, like, this must be either a block missing or it's acting as cover, so if you were defending this section, it'd be very interesting. We've got the cryo beds in that section there that we can quickly access and go asleep if we need to, and over this side we have the med bay. Now notice that turret right there, because if they're trying to respawn as we're boarding this ship, that turret's going to hold us out long enough for them to respawn and push us away from that door. Well, I guess that's the hope. So let's tuck a little bit further under the deck if we can, and I'm going to do a little bit of cheating to do this. We're just going to come down, access through the side here, and we'll enter into the various quarters. Now, what Ivals and the team have done with this one is they've left the interior very open underneath, so that if something does get damaged, something does get broken, they don't have to cut back into the ship to actually maintain it. Everything's clear. You can see how things are connected up with the piping system, so if there's piping damage or missing in an attack, then you can clearly see it. And with my designs, I tend to get a little bit too compact. and it's hard to access something without taking another component out. But look, we've got backup reactors in here, as well as various different control points. You can see all these little access catwalks to get to different sections. So if this was in a battle and you needed to run some maintenance during that battle, you could get down to the thrusters, down to the backup reactors and engine rooms. We've got the antenna nicely tucked away in here, as well as the processing module. Very nice. Everything you need. And you can see all this maintenance area has been watched very carefully with these Gatling gun turrets. So even if we're not in the main hallways, we do get down here and try to do some sabotage on the main thrust pack. We are going to have some deterrence, at least, from them right there. See more little turrets up there in this section as well. A very interesting, very nicely designed ship. It's well planned out, and more importantly, it's planned for survival, and it's been tested in a survival situation. So Ivals and the team with this particular ship have done an absolutely great job. But let's have a quick little test flight of this thing. It's very strange being able to do this, get aboard the enemy ship like this and have a little bit of a move around and test it out. But you know, they put it on the workshop, so I'm using this as a bit of an opportunity to gather some intel. So let's have a look. We've got quite a light tilt, it's kind of expected. We've got a very slow gyroscopic turning. Let's check the raise and lower sort of speed. Slow again. So this is something that the drone forces probably could easily evade from if we need to. Let's check our slowdown. So if we accelerate, let's slow ourselves down and see how much we can do. Okay, so slowdown's pretty bad as well. So if this thing was going towards a mountain, it would need some, you know, incredible speed to slow itself down. Let's check the acceleration upwards at the same time and see if we can build up. Okay, not too bad at all. But this is what I was expecting from this sort of ship. It's going to be slow, it's going to not maneuver too great, but it'll be relying on them fighters on the deck to do most of the damage. Anyway, I'll have a link down to this ship in the description below, and if you haven't checked out the Colony War series, definitely do. It is absolutely kicking off at the moment. There's missiles being fired, lasers blowing things up. It's a great episode. Check that out, and I will see you next time.